I have to say, YouTube, dumbos, you dum-dums, you dummies, don't be doing it. The amazing thing is, I would not have watched this podcast, I would not have put it on, but the fact YouTube deleted it made me want to search it out, find a ripped copy, and watch it. That's what happened. And I think that's what's happening with a lot of people, even though this Donald Trump Nelk podcast got 6 million views in a day. I'm sure there's tens and tens of millions of people who now have watched it because you deleted it. Not because of anything else, but just because of intrigue and curiosity. Because, hey, what batshit crazy things could he have said if it forced you to delete the video? So, just gonna break this one down here. Why, YouTube? Why? Why do you make stupid decisions? This is one of the worst takes I have seen YouTube have in a very long time. Now me, I've watched Nelk before. I used to watch them a few years ago and they were very, very funny. I think I've outgrown that period of my life now, but at the same time, I respect the hustle. These guys make money doing what they love. And that is one of the best things to show to kids, the fact that you can do what you dream of doing. It's not so binary as to sit in an office and slog your guts out for 40 years. If you make something for yourself, if you're an entrepreneur, anything is possible. But if you run the rat race like everyone wants you to run, then, you know, you could get bogged down by it. And these guys always said, no, we're going to go to the extreme. They're the modern day jackass. That's what they are. And that's why they got the success they have. Now, I think they are a bit extreme sometimes, but I could probably still pop on one of their videos and laugh a lot. At the same time saying, maybe you should have taken it a little back from the line, but sometimes you have to overstep it to see where the line is. But with this interview, I wasn't expecting anything. I was expecting complete bakwas. That's nonsense in Punjabi. Turns out, there was very little bakwas in it, which is shocking because it does make you question why on earth YouTube banned it. Is it just because it was Donald Trump? Is it because there was false information, disinformation? Who gets to decide what's disinformation? I don't know. Is there an independent regulator? Maybe there is, but as far as my knowledge, I don't think there is. I really don't. And I think the fact that they've done this really shows how scared the media is of someone with an alternative voice. And I'm not talking about Donald Trump here. I'm talking about Nelk, actually. Because the fact that Donald Trump went on their platform knowing what might happen in the video being struck down, I think it speaks to both of their balls, essentially, both of their resolve to actually go forward and do it. My question is, if this interview was on BBC, ABC, Fox, CNN, whatever it was, and it was put on YouTube, would it have been banned? And the answer is no. It wouldn't have been banned. I don't care what you say. I know that because everyone knows that. It would have been up. It would have got millions of views and everyone would have watched it anyway. I mean, I probably wouldn't have watched it, but you know, you can't trust certain things. And unfortunately, I don't really trust the mainstream media on either side. Yes, CNN, dog shit. Yes, Fox, also shit. MSNBC, trash. ABC, trash. BBC's okay. BBC's okay. They get lambasted from the left and from the right. It makes you think, hey, they must be doing something right to some degree if everyone's hating them. But overall, these news sites are absolute trash. We all know this to be true. But the fact that they would get special circumstances, in this case, if it was them and their journalists interviewing Donald Trump, is disgusting. YouTube was built on the people. It was built on individual ingenuity, individual talent, and heart and creativity. And Nelk really does represent that to a lot of people, a huge amount of people across the world. And the fact that you decided to say, no, we have to ban that, it's too much misinformation, disinformation, is disgusting. It's made me think to myself, I actually have to look at big tech alternatives. I have to look at social media platforms in a different way. I'm not really on Facebook. I don't use Twitter. YouTube is the only one I use, but I think there needs to be a big video platform competitor to YouTube. I've said it for many years, and I think maybe at this point, the small people like me need to actually go and do it so that more people, bit by bit, will come to these other platforms. I think that has to be how it is, because it's not just about the big guys going to these new platforms, these ones which will challenge YouTube. It's about the smediums, the small creators doing the same thing and bringing their small niche audiences across, because that in turn will make the average person say, hey, we don't just need to go on YouTube, there's this other thing. I don't think Vimeo is the one. I've heard of Rumble over the past few days, few weeks. That might be the one that needs to really buck up and be the big boy that can compete with YouTube. If that's the case, I'll get on Rumble. Apparently it's growing. That's good. I'm not growing, so if something's growing, then that might help. But I do feel that the lack of freedom of speech is so abhorrent. And how you can ban an interview like that, which there was very little said that was off the beaten path. You could argue that maybe the election fraud stuff was out of place and shouldn't have been said because, A, disinformation and all that stuff. But there is a lot of information to support that there was some tampering, and there was a lot of information to counter that information. So I am not saying I know everything about American politics. This is not about Donald Trump or Joe Biden or Hillary Clinton. This is about freedom of speech. This is about YouTube making consistent wrong decisions and taking the power away from the individual and saying we're going to support the big corporation just for the sake of it. And I'm not an anti-capitalist by any means, but I'm saying help the little guy who's doing something for himself and bringing up other people around him, which is what Nelk has done from the start. They have a huge corporation, apparently $100 million or close to in revenue. That's insane. That is unbelievable. They've done an incredible job at monetizing their channel, monetizing themselves and their personalities. Nothing but respect to that, other than the fact sometimes you do step over the line. But I have to say, YouTube, dumbos, you dum-dums, you dummies. Don't be doing it. But this stuff is not going to change because the big tech companies have been doing this for years. It was the whole argument years and years ago. It's still going on now about publisher versus platform. And I think if you're Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, whatever it is, Snapchat, if you're going to take people off for stupid reasons, not legitimate reasons, and I do not think Donald Trump being taken off in this case is legitimate. In this case, it's not. I think we're going to a really weird place where I think this whole situation needs to be reevaluated, and these social media companies need to give back the power that they've taken and they've been allowed to take by governments all across the world, where they've been allowed to say, no, we're not publishers, we're not news outlets, we're not official sources. We are just a platform with very small influence, not much going on here, and we do not take responsibility for what people say on our platform. That was the whole point about them being a platform, not a publisher, because if they were a publisher, then they can essentially be taken to court for things people write on their site. But when you look at a social media site like Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, or Instagram, it doesn't really work because as you extrapolate this out, you know, people are going to get sued all over the place, and that doesn't really work. But they were only allowed these exemptions if they didn't stifle freedom of speech. And the fact they're doing that, and they have been for years and years and years, I think that speaks to this, and I think it says this needs to be reevaluated, this needs to be done, and these companies need to be partially put in their place. I think they've got a bit too big for their boots. How can a terrorist, like an actual terrorist, have a Twitter account? All right? But Donald Trump, a president of the free world at one point, cannot. I'm missing something. This is one of those moments where 1 + 1 is not equaling 2. And I'm saying, why? How does that work? Explain. America, explain me. I just thought of this yesterday when this whole thing happened. Now, guys, what is Twitter gonna do? What is Twitter gonna do if Donald Trump does run again? What's gonna happen? Because you have to let him on the platform. You can't not allow him to be there. Because if you don't, you cannot say the 2024 election is going to be fair and free. If the Democratic candidate has Twitter, has Facebook, has Instagram, has YouTube, and the opponent in Donald Trump in this case, whatever you think of him, doesn't. That's not fair and free in any case. It's going to lead to more deceit, more lies, more mistrust. I mean, guys, it doesn't work. And I think if that's the case, Twitter will either have to let him back on or will be sued. It doesn't make any sense. It's so anti-American. I'm not American, but even I can see that's a bit far. And people say Trump is a xenophobe, a racist, a homophobe, a sexist, all these things, as well as a general or a leader from World War II Germany, you know. Don't see it. I really don't. I don't think he is the villain to the degree of which the left-wing mainstream media likes you to think he is. And I don't think he's the hero that the right-wing mainstream media likes you to think that he is. but he's definitely somewhere in the middle. And in most cases, I looked at all his policy, 2020, maybe Donald Trump actually has a lot of liberal policies. And would you look at it, when you actually break it down, the guy has a lot of liberal shit on his agenda. It's shocking. You wouldn't believe it. You really actually would say, nah, you're lying. You're lying to me. You're lying. No, I'm not. It's actually mad. The machine, and I say the machine, the Illuminati, whatever it might be, literally want people fighting against each other all the time when the real basic information and the real basic heart of it all is most people agree on most things, all right? If you take out the 5% of right-wing extremists, very bad, and you take out the 5% of left-wing extremists, very bad, 90% of people, in most cases, are probably like, yeah, I don't want my taxes to be high. Yeah, I want my kids to go to good schools. Yeah, I want to get a good job when I come out of college. What's the problem? What is the issue here? I don't want needless war. But you say these things, you're apparently an idiot. And you can't say them because, hey, the machine loves war. Donald Trump, I can say one thing, he didn't like war. Hey, he doesn't want to go to war. That's amazing. Who wants war? I know who wants war. The industrial military complex. They want war. I sound like Russell Brand right now, okay? I know that. But, hey, Nelk, keep doing what you're doing because you're ruffling the right feathers. It was a interesting interview. You didn't really speak much. Kyle basically said nothing. Steve, zero. I mean, he was probably high as fuck as the interview was going on. So it's definitely better that he didn't say anything. 100% he made the right decision in his state of mind to say absolutely nothing. But just let the man talk. That's what they did, and they got some real gems out of him. Afghanistan, shit show. Everyone knows it was a shit show. Almost $100 billion worth of equipment and tech left there. And obviously everyone knew it was just going to get siphoned off to the Russians and Chinese immediately. What the hell are you doing? What are you doing? And the fact that you take out the military before you take out US civilians and other refugees. This is dumb shit. And as Trump was saying, and this is nuts, this would not have been me a couple years ago. He's saying logical things like, hey, he was taking out ISIS. That's good. That's good stuff. Hey, he was reducing troop presence in Afghanistan. That's good stuff. That's really good. And then Biden came and messed that one up. I'm not saying everything Biden has done is wrong. I'm not saying everything Trump has done is right. But there has to be some middle ground here, all right? To quote Jubilee, as PewDiePie would say, Jubilee. Middle ground is important, and I think people gloss over it. But the fact of the matter is, and this is the truth, this is not disinformation, most people want the same things: to provide for their families, to live in a safe area, to go to good schools, to get a good job, to grow old, a happy life, a risk-taker's life, but also knowing that you did everything that you could in your life to achieve the things you did. You are a couple of steps ahead in your life if you were raised by a good family, and by good family I mean ones that instilled societally good values in you. Don't steal, don't mug, don't go and ram cars into buildings. I'm just saying those things are good things. I mean, if you don't do them. I'm saying if you're brought up with your parents telling you don't do them, then that's a good thing. But some people are not told that. And you can't blame them fully for that because there wasn't a parent or two parents in their life to tell them these things because they were too busy working because they had to provide because we live in a messed up system. We do. We do. We do. But I'm telling you guys, just find some middle ground. It might serve you well. Plus, the world's too messed up as it is. I don't like it. I don't like how everything is so hyper-polarized. I think this issue here is one where the left and the right should get together and say, hey, you know what? This was stupid and a bad decision. And YouTube, sometimes you make good decisions. Most of the time, you make bad ones. This was one of the many, many bad ones. Anyway, guys, if you did enjoy this video, me rambling, because it's what we do, please do like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel down there if you didn't. The Nelk boys gonna come after you. Hoo hoo! You don't want that. You really don't, so just subscribe anyway to avoid that. I've been NarendraTheComic. You've been Grant. We'll see you next time. That's tomorrow if you don't know, make a video every single day. Been doing it every day for over 1,000 days now. We ain't stopping till we get to 10,000 subscribers. So do subscribe. Pop back again tomorrow for some more quality shitty content, because we're hashtag never not here, just how it goes. Also bring the bakwas. Bakwas means nonsense in Punjabi. We also bring that. Bring a lot, bring a little, do a lot, do a little, but we do indeed bring the quality shitty content on a daily basis. So see you tomorrow. More of the same, slightly different, but essentially the very same. Once more, see you then. Skadoosh.